70 miles from here is one of the world's most important religious centres, where frankincense has always been in demand, Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a fascinating and complicated place. It's a city that's inspired passion so great that people have given up their lives for it. Both the Israelis and the Palestinians view this as their capital, and it has enormous significance for three separate religions. The Muslim, Jewish and Christian communities each consider Jerusalem a sacred city. It was here the Muslims believe Muhammad ascended into heaven. For the Jews, it's from where God created the world. And for the Christians, it was in Jerusalem where Jesus rose from the dead. I've come to where more frankincense is burned in worship than in any other place in Jerusalem, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. This is one of the holiest sites in the Christian world because it's believed it's where Jesus was crucified and from where he was resurrected. The entire church has been built around what's thought to be his tomb. It's enclosed by a 16th century wooden shrine called the Holy Sepulchre. Five different branches of the Christian faith claim ownership to the church. Each one celebrates according to their own tradition, and there has been conflict. Although their prayers are spoken in different languages, they're all sanctified with frankincense every day of the year. Less than 5 minutes walk away from the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is another sacred site where a different prophet is believed to have ascended into heaven. Today, it's Jerusalem's best known and most controversial landmark. For Muslims, Jerusalem, or Al-Quds as they call it, has huge holy significance because it has the most important site for them after Mecca and Medina. Under that beautiful golden dome is the rock where Muhammad is said to have stepped up into heaven. So for Muslims, this is the closest place on earth to paradise. And I can't go there because it's been temporarily closed to non-Muslims, following another in a long line of disagreements between Muslim leaders and the Jewish government. It's one of the most contested territories on the planet. Both the Muslims and the Jews claim ownership of the land directly beneath the Golden Dome. Although crowned with a symbol of Islam, the Jews believe this is where God created the world and made it the site of their first temple. That temple was destroyed by the Babylonians and another built in its place, which was then destroyed by the Romans. I'm going to all that remains of the temple's foundation wall, which has become one of the most important pilgrimage sites for Jews the world over. According to Jewish law, the devoted are obligated to feel grief for the lost temple when they first approach what is today known as the Western Wall. The Western Wall is the holiest place for Jews today. They believe that somehow the divine presence is trapped within the stones, so to come here and to pray and to physically touch the wall is as close to God as they can get on earth. Many pilgrims leave prayers tucked in the cracks in the wall, a tradition believed to have started in the 18th century. When Barack Obama was here during his campaign trail, he too left a prayer, which was later removed and published to wide condemnation. The wall is segregated, so the camera crew have to stay outside as I go into the women's section. It's a real crush. Some people are pressed right up against the wall, and standing here I can see, stuffed in the cracks, all the prayers that people have put in. And apparently, even if you can't get here yourself, you can send a prayer, either in the post, or there's even a dedicated fax line. And one of the officials here will come and put it in the wall for you. I'm amazed by people's reactions here at the wall. It literally is a touchstone to an era when the temple that stood here was the centre of Jewish life. When the temple was destroyed by the Romans in 70 BC, many sacred Jewish rituals were lost, including the burning of frankincense. But now one Jewish group has elaborate and seemingly impossible plans to rebuild the temple for the third time on the original site. Only then do they believe that frankincense can be offered again during a Jewish religious ceremony. I'm meeting a rabbi who's dedicated his whole life to this dream. Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. You're Yehuda. Can I shake your hand?
You can try.
Thank you very much. I'm never quite sure whether I'm allowed to or not. Yehuda Glick's organisation has meticulously researched the exact building requirements outlined in Scripture to rebuild the Holy Temple. They have tens of millions of dollars pledged to start construction at short notice. Yehuda has even prepared a sacred mix of frankincense. Oh, it is a lovely smell.
People would come to the temple, would want to meet God with each and every one of their five senses. They want to be close as possible. The most spiritual of our five senses is the smell. So when a person enters Jerusalem, he breathes the holiness into his lungs. He smells it and he feels close. Here I am, getting close to God. They would sneeze from the smell of the incense coming from Jerusalem.
Now you're confusing me a little, because you're talking about this ritual as if it still happens, and then you're going into the past again. Is this a ritual that still goes on within Jewish ceremonies?
This took place every single day in the temple until 2,000 years ago, when the Romans destructed the temple, the Holy Temple. It will be renewed speedily, hopefully, as soon as possible, upon the rebuilding of the third temple. And then we will once again bring the incense daily to the altar. Here we have the incense altar in its actual size.
Exactly the same.
Made of acacia wood coated with gold.
That's solid gold?
Real gold, yes. This is acacia wood coated with gold, ready to be used. As soon as I get that phone call.
Which phone call? From God? From who?
One phone call from the government of Israel, from the United Nations, that we got permission to build. Then I'll give you a call. You'll help me carry the vessels, because the vessels here are ready to be used in the third temple.
Can we go and see the proposed site?
Let's go.
This way?
Yep. Okay.
Wow, climbing up into the sky.
Now we're into the sun, but actually to see the foundation stone of where God begins the creation of the world. Don't take a picture of the mess here. Take a picture of the mess there.
What are you referring to as a mess?
I would say the fact that the Jewish people cannot freely go to where the holiest place for the Jewish people in the world, and the fact that the Muslims took over the entire site. And what we're trying to do is trying to promote a totally different message, a message that the entire world, including Muslims, including Christians, unite around one house of prayer.
And that one house of prayer is going to be where then?
It's located exactly where the Dome of the Rock is. The dome there is protecting the rock, and that rock is the Holy of Holies.
What you want to do is destroy the Dome of the Rock and build the third temple.
What we would like to do is build the third temple.
I wish I could believe that it could happen, but what I think is if you try and build what is to the outside world a Jewish temple on a Muslim site, all that's going to happen is it's going to cause a war. Is it worth it?
You know what it'll do? This will do to employment, to poor Arabs, to poor Jews, to bringing and raising the entire economy of the State of Israel, raising and of course, making much more delicate the spiritual relationship between mankind and God.
I don't know if Yehuda will ever have the chance to burn frankincense on the Temple Mount, but in a city that's been captured and recaptured 44 times by conquerors of different faiths, you never know.